This is the download from Sounds Profitable, your daily source for the essential news in the business of podcasting. I'm Gavin Gaddis. Here's what you need to know for today, Monday, October 20th, besides the fact AWS has the internet all jacked up. First up, the collaboration behind The Hidden Third. Sounds Profitable has a new interview with the Roost Podcast Network consultant and project lead Allison Mobley and journalist Mariana Van Zeller discussing her new podcast, The Hidden Third, produced in partnership with Muck Media. With The Roost now a part of digital talent management agency Night Media, the network is broadening its horizons beyond its comedy and gaming-focused roots. This new focus on creator-led stories has brought together Van Zeller and Muck Media to report on the so-called hidden third of global commerce, smuggling, the black market, etc. The Roost handles distribution, ad sales, and growth, while Zeller and Muck Media are able to focus on the content itself without sweating the details of future live shows, special investigations, and community events. Next up, research as a creative partner with Tom Webster of Sounds Profitable. In a new episode of the podcast Podcraft, our very own Tom Webster stopped by to discuss audience research and presenting original data. Regardless of if you want to build a full report of the industry or run a simple audience survey, the key is understanding one's own survey questions. As Webster says, if one of your questions could generate answers you wouldn't know how to act on, cut it. The core truth of research is keeping the data transparent. Claiming audiences say is flashier than respondents said, but respondents will always be a factual representation of the data you collected. Next up, calling creators kids is how legacy media lost the plot by Sean Howard and James Cridlin. Flightpath founder Sean Howard starts off with a graph from an early September New York Times article representing a failure for Hollywood box office revenue to return to pre-COVID levels, which, to be clear, a chart that has since 2010 trended downwards, even if you don't take into consideration 2020's sudden stop. Despite consistent and bountiful research proving content creators and their user-created content is eating traditional media's lunch as far as time consumed and media spent, Howard still encounters the antiquated idea that influencers are just kids in their bedrooms not making real media. He points to places like South Asia, where traditional broadcasters either simulcast or fully skip legacy TV broadcasting and go straight to YouTube. Next up, media buyers look to next year's budgets as this year's volatility leaves a lingering sting. Reset your days since unprecedented times has been said counter. I'm talking about unprecedented times. Marketers speaking to Digiday are expressing the difficulty of planning for 2026 budgetary requirements when we live in a situation where one of a handful of powerful people can simply tank the stock market with a single social media post at a whim. During a recent Summit's town hall event where agency attendees discussed big picture issues under Chatham House rules, the issue of tariffs and issues they cause largely came down to one of education, according to those attending. Sales-focused folks are more focused on results, while agencies need them to understand the nuances of how tariffs and sudden market problems can influence performance itself. And for our final top story today, Americans keep holiday spirit strong despite economic uncertainty. Inside Audio Marketing takes a look at the new NRF winter holidays data, including survey data collected by Prosper Insight and Analytics. Consumers surveyed expect to spend an average of $890.49 USD on holiday gifts, food, and decorations, as well as other seasonal items. That marks the second highest expectation in the survey's 23-year history, representing just a 1.3% decline from last year's record high of $901.99. Of that money, $627.93 is expected to go into gift purchasing. Shopping starts earlier than the traditional beginning of the holiday season, with 42% of consumers already browsing and buying stuff before November. 85% of respondents anticipate higher holiday prices due to tariffs, and 63% plan on doing the bulk of their shopping using Black Friday and Cyber Monday deals on Thanksgiving weekend, up 4% from last year. As for the rest of the news, new YouTube video podcast The Arena Gridiron reports its first month of broadcasting puts it as the second most watched sports podcast, according to Mondo Metrics' top 10 of the genre. Oxford Road has published podcast rankings based on actual sales results. That's taking into account $1.6 billion of campaign data across hundreds of advertisers and 12 months. Critical Role steals the top spot with its highly leveraged fan base, while household names people might expect, like Joe Rogan, don't crack the top 15. Zeno Media's platform Zeno.fm now has content from both BBC World Service and BBC News Hausa available for free. Over 300 podcasters have already signed up for Podcastathon, a nonprofit initiative slated for mid-March 2026, in which registered podcasts will highlight chosen charities with special episodes. The Radcast Network has announced the promotion of Bella Schaefer to executive producer, now overseeing flagship podcasts like Right About Now and the Vibe Science podcast. BuzzFeed and Podcast One have announced a partnership to launch a new podcast series titled Phone a Fangirl, discussing K-pop idols, celebrities, and fan engagement. And the winners of the 2025 Independent Podcast Awards have been announced, and in today's episode I'm linking a full list on Pod News. Be sure to check out the links to every article I've talked about today by clicking the link in your show notes to go directly to today's episode post on soundsprofitable.com, or you can go to soundsprofitable.com and mouse over to the download section to find every episode of the download, and you can subscribe to the newsletter while you're there. As usual, the download is written and produced by myself, Tom Webster, and Brian Barletta. For Sounds Profitable, I'm Gavin Gaddis, and I'll see you tomorrow, hopefully with more reliable internet stuff.